went against this guy and he like started waving his finger in my face during it, and he's in a heel hook and his shit's popping and it makes this like Velcro tearing noise. So I know his knee's getting fucked up and he just doesn't want to tap. I'm like, this match is for like $100, dude. Like, what are you doing?
How many times has somebody let you do that? Dope. Another podcast, same fucking clothes. We got Alex Seaver. You don't care if I swear, right? For your audience.
Fuck no.
I didn't think so. I was like, I didn't think so. Dope. So yeah, we got the Adversity Kings podcast, another episode. Same clothes for me. Obviously, I promise I wash my clothes, guys. But I got my Jiu Jitsu coach, Alex Seaver, on from, I think from Michigan, but out here in Chicago now.
Yeah,
but
I grew up in Michigan.
Dope. So right where we left off, we were just talking about worlds, the classes, no-gi, jiu-jitsu. You guys already know if you're listening, right? We were all over the place. They don't pay at all.
No. So the only real way you get paid, like being a black belt competing, because they don't pay the brown belts, purples, anything like that. I think they started doing like a pay for if you win worlds and shit like that, but basically it's only like the top ranked at the end of the year. Yeah. So like accumulation of points. So you get like Philippe Andrew, Buchecha, all these guys who like do a bunch of tournaments. And if you're in the top 5 at the end of the year, they bring you out, they give you an award, and then I think it's like the top 3 or top 5 get a pay, and that's about it.
And it's what is it, 50 grand, 100 grand?
Oh, fuck no. Like I think it's like 20 or 15.
All the money's made then if you open up schools and instructionals.
Oh, 100%, dude. It's Gordon was talking shit about IBJJF pay because he said he'd made millions off of BJJ Fanatics and his instructionals, and then I think the most money he's made has been off of his instructionals, and then the next would be his super fights.
Now, super fight is where that you get in the cage.
No, not even.
The ring type of deal.
Yeah, everybody uses that term in jiu-jitsu, but it's just like an exhibition match.
Yeah.
So it's like it could be in someone's gym, and you guys just, you and I decide to have a match, and we're both like, yo, dude, put your money where your mouth is. Let's put up 10 grand each.
Okay.
I mean, it's not exactly like a set rule, right?
Do sponsors get involved with jiu-jitsu athletes at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
That have any money?
Usually it's not money. It's usually like gear is one of the more popular ones. You get big names and they'll get some money, but one of the biggest things that they're doing for money right now is actually this guy Mo Jassim for ADCC. So he's bringing in sponsors for ADCC, and so now that'll be like the biggest like grappling match payout ever, I think, because he said it's like their super fight for ADCC is between Andre Goval and Gordon Ryan. Yeah. And the payout's going to be like, I think it's like $150,000, $200,000.
Yeah. Just for that match. The winner will take $150,000, $200,000. Who do you think?
Well, I think they're doing 150 or 100 and then 50 to the loser.
So who do you think will win that match?
I think Gordon.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope Galval wins, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'd rather see Pena and Felipe Pena and Gordon run it back because Felipe beat him twice already.
Now, but was that like back before, because like when he like portrays himself, it's almost like he portrays himself as like undefeated.
I know, he doesn't talk about the Felipe ones too much.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Felipe's like the only dude to beat him.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else has really beaten him. And then he only fought Felipe, I think, and lost to him at
I wonder about all the people that like smacked on him though, like when you first start out in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, for sure they talk shit.
You know what I mean?
For sure,
remember when I was fucking you up when you were a white belt?
Well, I think he competed in the gi up until like purple belt or something, and just got. I'm not gonna say like tossed around or anything, but he like it wasn't who he is now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's people who talk shit like, I fucked up Gordon at blue belt.
Yeah. Well, jiu-jitsu's like that. The more I think about it, like, because you have your undefeated fighters and just individuals that get into sports and shit, and it's like, I'm the best there ever was, never took any losses, or my percentage, this, that, or the other is excellent. But it's like, well, what about when you fucking started? Or when are you really keeping score? I think about that all the time with like undefeated fighters. And like jiu-jitsu is the one where it's like there's definitely a point where you start as a white belt. I was at that New Breed tournament, dude. These little kids, their technique and shit. I'm like, that little kid,
bro. Some of those kids are monsters.
Is insane.
Yeah.
I'm like the technique and just like I'm looking at him shrimp and I'm like, shrimp's way better, dude. I'm like, what the? I look like an idiot,
bro. Watch what was it? Pan Kids. I think that's like their biggest tournament for the kids. It's insane. Like the grays, the yellows. I didn't even get a chance to watch the orange or the green belts. I just watched.
What's the highest kid belt?
Green.
Green.
Yeah. So like when you see like people that are like freak athletes and like the upcoming phenoms are typically like Miko Galvao or like Cole Abate. I think Cole's like 16 or 17. and he was a green belt up until like 2 years ago because you can't get your blue belt till you're 16.
Okay.
So he's this like green belt fucking up black belts.
Damn.
And, I mean, he's been grappling for like 13 years at that point.
Yeah,
like,
they just started him like right 2-3 years
It's just
old.
a belt system. He can't be higher ranked because of his age.
Yeah.
So it's like the opposite problem you have of like taekwondo and karate. It's like these guys are black belts 100% all day, every day of the week.
Yep.
But they can't get their belt because they're not 18, 19.
So what is then the biggest jiu-jitsu tournament in the world?
I mean, I'd say there's two. It's either like IBJJF Worlds for the gi.
Yeah.
And then no gi, it's ADCC, which is only every 2 years.
And when was the last one?
They were supposed to run it last year, so it would have been 2019 for ADCC.
Who won the adult? Now, do they do weight classes then?
So yeah, they do kilograms. It's like 66, 77, I think. They might do an 88, 99. I forget their exact weight classes. And then they do an absolute.
Okay.
So then the winner of the absolute goes on to face the previous super fight champion. So like because Gordon won the absolute last time, Andre Gova was the reigning like super fight champion. So now this time Andre's fighting Gordon.
Okay.
So then if Gordon beats Andre Gova, which is likely,
didn't he slap him?
Yeah, he slapped the shit out of him.
And he like
Gova
I don't know if he's like really
it.
composed from so much jiu-jitsu where it's like there's no emotional response, but
honestly I think it was shock, man.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what?
You got another
fuck?
grown man in your face who's supposed to be respectful and he just slaps the shit out of you. Like, I mean, it's one of those ones where like, I mean, Andre's no slouch. He fought MMA for a while too.
Yeah.
I don't think he was like crazy good, but he wasn't a slouch. But I think it's a matter of like, it's jiu-jitsu, and then this grown-ass man just slapped you in the face. You're like, I wasn't expecting that.
Is there any USADA for... Is there anything? Because...
Fuck no.
Yeah, I'll be wondering, I'm like, yeah, that dude...
No,
he looks like a fucking ox.
They do some testing for like worlds and big tournaments, but I think it's only for black belts, and then only if you're on the podium, and then only if you look like you're doping, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a very small amount of people that get tested, so it's like you'd have to be pretty bad about your cycling or all this stuff. Like, I think there's only a few people who've been caught recently that I've heard of because they didn't even start till recently.
Yeah.
Like when Rafa Mendes and Guilherme Mendes retired, like, man, that was 5-6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's when they started testing more.
Damn.
So I don't think they were ever on steroids, but people, like, you know how Reddit people are. They always come up with some, like, fucking theories. And they're like, oh, all these people retired this year because of the drug testing they're implementing. I was like,
dude, I just started following this podcast, More Plates for More Dates. Derek is the individual's name.
Yeah.
And he's like basically like a chemist in my mind. You know what I mean? Like from everything that I've learned from like, and he just basically just goes over steroids and he'll pull up fighters and different people and famous people. And it's like, it makes sense how people are able to, even the UFC, like most of these fighters are on some form of shit. You know what I mean? Where they can elude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the testing.
They're looking at the banned substance list and they're trying to find a way around it.
Yeah, finding ways around it on like how like you can connect esters to your test, to this, to that, where it'll release different and it goes here instead of there. It's like, it's fucking nuts how like intelligent people are.
A lot of that stuff's crazy, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy to see the ones that actually like get popped for like stupid shit because there's ones who I know are like, you can see that they're taking shit, but they're like, it's not a banned substance yet, and they keep updating the banned substance list.
Dude, whatever Paulo Costa's taking, I'm trying to get. Dude, when he comes out for his fights, I'm just like,
he looks juiced to the fucking gills, dude.
And he does not. Well, clearly none of the fighters walk around with they're fighting like what they fight at. But like when he comes out, just to get 185 shrunk into, you know what I mean, that frame, I'm just like, that's sickening.
Did you ever see, it was Johnny Hendricks when he was fighting like GSP? He walked it. They fought at 170.
Yeah.
That guy said he was walking, I think he said like 220, 240.
What the fuck?
Yeah, bro. He looked straight up fucking beer gut, everything. And then like 3 months later, shredded.
Dude, your stamina has to get hurt. Or like, there's got to be so many things that, like, once you start cutting so much, Rogan talks on it. Like, it's like unhealthy. Like, seizures and strokes because you cut off water supply. You do.
Well, and that's when you get a lot of people who do like drastic weight cuts. They develop like these weird issues. Or who was it? I think his name's like Dr. Kickass or something like that on Instagram.
Yeah.
He went over the Henry Cejudo and whoever dropped down to 125 to try and fight him. Was it TJ or something? but he ended up knocking him out. And they said that it was just like a bad cut. Like, oh, he was so dehydrated that like the spinal fluid and like the fluid surrounding his brain wasn't thick enough to cushion his brain, and you're more likely to get knocked out. So that they're saying that like bad cuts can create really bad dehydration, which makes it easier to like get your like your bones and your ligaments and your muscles snapped, or apparently get knocked out. Which I'd never heard that one before that, and found that interesting. I was like, man, you get a bunch of these jiu-jitsu guys who just drastic water cuts, and we're not getting slapped in the face, and I think that's probably why. Like,
yeah, dude.
Otherwise, we'd probably notice these cuts a little bit more.
Fuck yeah! I can't even believe like Simon cutting for his fight. Like, I didn't realize he was like, yeah, I got to cut for the fight, and I'm like, I didn't realize jiu-jitsu cut.
He would have been in my weight division, me walking around.
Oh,
that motherfucker's way bigger than me.
Yeah, bro. Like, because he can get up to 190, 200. Like
I believe it. He's a big boy, dude.
Easy, and now he'll go to 162 for his next tournament. I think right now I wake up 168, 167. I've been on this stupid diet for 2 or 3 months.
Well, if he's gonna do IBJJF, I think it's he might not even need to cut weight then, because it's 168, and it'd be like 164 for lightweight.
I don't know. I wonder what he's doing. I'll have to ask him tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
double check what it is he's doing.
So he's not cutting unneeded weight.
Yeah. Well, the dude that trains him is that wrestling coach. So that's probably their like go-to. Let's just cut weight.
Yeah, for real, dude. That shit's brutal for jiu-jitsu. Like, I cut weight for my MMA fight back in like 2011, and I cut from like 175 to 135, and I used to walk around a little bit bigger, and I hadn't even been that weight again until COVID. And the first like 3 months, I put it all back on. Sitting down playing Call of Duty, all that shit.
Yeah.
But even that was rough, and I was able to rehydrate over the course of a day.
Yeah.
Like jiu-jitsu, I tried cutting weight 1 or 2 times before. Man, you step on the scale, and if it's IBJJF, you step on the scale, and then they send you out to the mat.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're cutting that big of a weight cut, it's rough.
Fuck yeah.
You go out of the first match having no fucking energy, and then you see the people like their forearms are shot after the first match. They're down in Pedialyte.
Yeah.
It's like you had a rough fucking cut, dude.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds insane. So, who's well, I've got so many fucking questions. Your favorite 2 or 3 jiu-jitsu martial artists, kind of a combination of that. Maybe we should make the list longer. I feel like that's fucking narrow.
Man, that's I was gonna say that's a rough one. It's
because I want to know like your favorite fighters, but specifically jiu-jitsu, and then expand into fighters.
For sure. I mean, like strictly jiu-jitsu. I really like Lachlan Giles' like style and approach to things. Marcelo Garcia is one of my favorites. Like when I first started getting into it.
And is that where you got your black belt? Was through a Garcia?
No.
Or through a Gracie?
Through Carlson Gracie Jr.
Carlson Gracie. Now let me let you finish this.
For sure. And then the one I liked watching the most was Rafa Mendes.
Okay.
I mean, I think the dude was light years ahead, and he could probably still come back after not competing for a few years.
Yeah.
Probably still come back and fuck everybody up.
Now, did he mainly do gi?
Yeah, he did both, but he was also, I think, I might be wrong on this one, but I think he was the youngest ADCC champion.
Wow.
So it's like the guy did no gi as well, very proficiently.
Where was he trained out of?
First it was this guy, Ramon Lemos, I think, from Brazil. And then I think he moved to the States and trained with Andre Goval. And he was under Atos for a long time.
Yeah.
AOJ just split from Atos, I think, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not pretty recently. But it was like AOJ and Atos down in San Diego with Andre Goval were like the 2 main Atos schools.
Yeah.
And I think he trained with those guys for a while, but I think he mostly trained with his brother because his brother was a phenom too.
That's insane.
I think Rafa had like 1 or 2 more world titles, but Gohammer was no slouch either.
Yeah.
So
now, what about favorite fighters?
Man, Khabib and GSP.
Yeah.
100%.
Both of them nice as fuck with their grappling.
Yeah, I mean,
both wrestling backgrounds though, right? Well, Khabib's at Sambo.
Khabib wrestled and did combat sambo. So I heard that GSP actually didn't like wrestle until he graduated high school. Like when he picked up MMA, he decided to start wrestling.
Yeah.
And he was just like freak athlete for it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even have anything to do with like their style per se. It's more of
their character and shit.
Well, that too, but honestly, like watching them fight, like some of the smartest fighters I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, GSP took some fucking hits. He was in a hard division, 170. You get some heavy hitters.
Yep.
And I mean, he'd wrestle them all. He'd take the NCAA wrestlers. He'd take them down. His ability to like. That's why I tell anybody I do MMA with. I'm like, when you hear that clap for the last 10 seconds, I was like, follow GSP style, man. That's your last like that's your shoot.
Yeah.
You shoot the last 10 seconds. That's the last thing the ref remembers. I was like, or the judges remember. It tilts the scorecards in your favor.
Yeah.
He did that on almost everybody. And some of the fights that he probably should have lost, he controlled those last like 15, 30 seconds really well. And I think that left a good imprint on the judge's mind. So they're like, well, I think he won that round.
Yeah.
And MMA is not scored as a whole fight. It's scored individual rounds.
And he's like still in incredible shape. Like if you follow up with the dude, like
yeah, dude, he's going crazy with gymnastics now.
Yeah, he's How much would you pay to see him fight Khabib?
Bro, that's a dream fight right there.
That would be insane.
I mean, honestly, because I think GSP said he was a little bit heavier, because he came back, fought Bisping at 185. But I mean, with him doing just gymnastics, he might have took some weight down since his last fight. And obviously with Khabib not fighting anymore consistently, like he might be a little bit up. So
yeah,
I don't think neither of them really wants to anymore though.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to respect it. Both incredible athletes and just everything they accomplish. So
yeah, unless there's a fat payday with it. I mean, they don't really have anything to gain from
it.
Yeah,
exactly. So. Who do you think's the nicest at jiu-jitsu in the UFC? UFC, because most people probably aren't familiar with like one and all that shit.
Damian Maia, I think hands down.
Better than Oliveira?
Well, no, I mean like nicest, like nicest human being for it.
No, like the best.
Oh, best. Gilbert Burns.
Gilbert Burns?
Yeah.
Is that who's a 40-year-old that just won, was it the light heavyweight? Like 42-year-old? One of like the oldest UFC champions because he just won at like 42 years old.
Man, who was that? I haven't been on top of my MMA stuff lately. But Damian Maia, his quote was like he wants to like finish the fight like without hurting anybody. He's like, I want to just go in, win, and go home.
Yeah, that's a nice motherfucker.
I was like, man, that's he's trying to take your payday, and you still want to send him home without any major injuries.
Randy Couture is the oldest champion in UFC history.
Or is he like? No, he was 48 when he retired, I think.
Oh, but when did he win? Because I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. Fuck, dude, this just goes to show how tough people are. I don't care if you're on something. He was 45 years old.
Oh, the last time he was the champion?
When he won another championship, I guess.
I think that's when they made the TRT thing legal.
Probably, dude. I mean,
and then Vitor Belfort came back with a vengeance.
Yeah. Dude, but I mean, even to be on shit and like to win at 45 years old, Anderson Silva, 38, but just recently taking his spot was the dude I'm talking about is Glover.
Oh, Glover
Teixeira. Yeah. And he's
42?
Yeah, bro. 42 years old.
Man.
And he did he just do a simple Kimura or an Americana or something? Like
I didn't see it, but I mean, I know he's got good jiu-jitsu too.
Crazy.
I mean,
but he's from Brazil. So I feel like anybody that's from Brazil, I immediately ask him, like, what belt are you? Some people are like, what? I feel like it's like low-key kind of racist. Like, what belt? Just automatically assume.
I mean, almost every Brazilian I've met has like even like there's a few like males and females I've met that like aren't even in it anymore, and they're like, oh no, I got my blue belt, and then I just didn't really like it, but my parents pushed me to do it.
Yeah,
like it's almost like doing taekwondo in Korea. Like it's just like or like judo in Japan. It's like one of those things where they start, I guess, like pushing it in school.
I hear a lot of fighters go and try to train in like, is it Taiwan or Thailand?
Oh, Thailand.
Why the hell do they go? What's in Thailand that we don't have here?
There's some good Muay Thai gyms over there. Like what is it? Tiger Muay Thai out there, and I think Evolve MMA is out there too, but that might be in a different country.
Yeah,
I forget. There's a few good gyms out that way too, so a lot of them will go over there, and it's also like, I mean, people glorify like fighter pay and everything, but it's shit.
Yeah,
like I mean, you fight like, if you're lucky, 3-4 times a year, and if you're an entry level fighter and you're winning everything, you can make like $30,000 a fight.
Yep.
But say you go 1-1 for the year and you get an injury that puts you out. You made like $30,000 from one and 15 from the other. Like you made $45,000 for a year
without taxes and paying your gym, your trainers, coaches,
exactly,
your health, eating.
Plus then all the medical bills you had. Like I mean, I'm sure I think they have health insurance through the UFC, but I can't imagine that it covers everything.
Fighting is so much more entertaining than like golf, tennis, in my opinion,
Oh,
shit
for sure.
like that, and like
Combat sports, I think, are where it's at.
even like basketball and foot. Like honestly, like out of every sport, fighting is the. I feel like I don't know if we did like a poll or something. I still feel like most individuals would be like, would you rather watch two individuals fight to the death, or would you rather watch some dude in khakis hit his stick on a ball?
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? Like, what would you? And it's like I would put all my
money. I tried to
money.
watch golf, man. I really did. I've tried like.
I've tried to watch it, do it, and it's like this
it's
is
a lot
so
more
boring.
fun to play than it is to watch.
Top golf for an hour, and then I'm bored.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, the driving range is a lot more fun because I fucking suck at chipping shit.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna start throwing things. So
it's crazy. What is the hardest game do you think to go against in jiu-jitsu? It's like, dude, I do not want to have to deal with this dude's blah blah blah.
I mean that's a tough one because there's been a few like changes in the game in the past like year or two that have like I'd say completely shifted. Like before I would have said like just the big guys who smash and it's like it's hard to elevate them and they just kind of stall you out.
Yeah.
But now you get people like you have like the Rutolo brothers, you have the Tackett brothers. I mean, you have like all these like young up and coming guys who are just so aggressive and fast and like they have all these weird entries into the legs. They have these like deep Darce games. They have these Kimura traps that are like, so they have such a diverse game and paths to your back that, I mean, you don't know what they're going to throw at you. They're just like, and they're young and they have so much energy. They're Energizer bunnies and they just keep throwing attacks at you till you break.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the most like legitimately hard ones to deal with. It's the same thing with like, you see Nicky Rod? The black belt slayer.
He used to train with Gordon and them. Did he split from them, or is he still with them?
So he's with, I think, because those two teams split into New Wave.
Why did they split up? Like, just feuding or something?
It was something about like the training conditions, I believe. Like they had some feuds in the room or something. But it's Craig Jones, Nicky Rod, and
Nicky Ryan
all split the B team. And I think there's some more in there too that I'm forgetting. But
yeah.
And then Gordon and Danaher went with New Wave. I think they're both in Texas though.
Yeah, I think they're both. And which one's Gary on? Tonin.
Fuck if I know. Honestly,
I like Tonin a lot.
Yeah, he's a good personality, man. His posts are a bit
hilarious.
much for me too much for me sometimes, but he's hilarious, man.
He is a little excessive.
Well, and he's an insanely good grappler too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, everybody knows he's a good grappler, but like absolutely insane. I think he paved the way for a lot of like the weird shit people do today. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he's not even like an older guy in jiu-jitsu, really. I mean, he's what, like, he's got to be like low 30s.
I would imagine, yeah.
But I mean, even then he was in grappling for so long before that, doing like him and Jeff Glover were doing all the crazy shit to like revolutionize like the leg entanglements and all this. That I think that helped set up stuff. And now he's killing it with leg locks and MMA, and he's developed his striking. Like,
yeah.
I think he fights for one now.
Yeah, one. You can knee on the ground in one. It's really crazy to watch.
They win like pride rules on that shit.
Yeah, it's really weird to watch. I'm like, this dude's probably gonna live till 33.
Yeah, for real.
You
like,
know what I mean?
You just shorten his life by fucking 5 years.
Oh my god, dude! I was watching this dude just deliver knees to this dude's forehead on the ground. He was just like, can you ground and pound with knees? And I'm like, what is he doing?
Bro, they're gonna crack one dude's skull like that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
I'm surprised that more people don't die. You know what I mean? I feel like more people die running around the soccer field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts to me.
They had a few boxers die from like some random heart issues, I think, this last year.
Yeah, some things like that they highlighted in the news. Speculations on it.
Yeah.
People, you know what I mean, get political about it and
yeah,
shit.
Of course.
So, who knows?
They always do. There was like some track athlete. I saw the same thing. I'm like,
yeah.
He could have just had a bad heart, man. Like,
yeah, I know. Everybody's like, it's a damn vaccine. And I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck it is.
I was just like, it's sad he died, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's leave it at that. Like,
exactly. Like, his family isn't fighting over what it was.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, when did you get into jiu-jitsu?
Man, I didn't get like strictly into jiu-jitsu until like 2011, like December, November, something like that. I did MMA from like 2007, 2008.
Did you have any grappling skill then, being in it?
Oh God, no. I
swam.
Like
no wrestling, nothing.
No, I swam. So wrestling and swimming were the same season when I was in high school.
Yep.
So like, I mean, I wrestled for like 3 months when I was like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then some kid picked me up and slammed me, and I was like, "No, fuck this."
Yeah.
and then I went back to, because I still swam at the time, and that was like a youth league in the summer.
Yeah.
And I just stuck with swimming till high school, and then I got a shoulder injury, and took me out of swimming. And then for some reason, the shoulder injury led me to doing MMA.
Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna get slammed, but I'll get punched in the face.
Yeah, for fucking real.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Like, looking back, like for some reason at the time, I was like, yeah, no, this makes sense. Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, fucking stupid 16-year-old. Or actually, I think I was like 14 or 15 at the time, because I couldn't even drive myself to practice.
That's hilarious.
So, I think it was like sophomore year of high school, I got started in MMA.
Yeah.
And I fought my senior year. I did an MMA fight, a boxing fight, and then I was like, oh, I'll round it out. I'll do a jiu-jitsu tournament, and then I'll do another MMA fight.
Yeah.
And then, so I won my MMA fight, like first round submission, lost my boxing fight it was on points. I don't know if it was like a unanimous or a split.
Yeah.
I ended up pretty much just got outscored like round after round.
Yeah.
And then my jiu-jitsu, like my first jiu-jitsu tournament, man, some like 40-year-old dude hopped into the adult division, so I got 1 win. I just outworked him and like literally like ran around him, took him down, and it was just like the younger, more athletic guy.
Yeah.
And then I fought a dude my age, and he just fucked me up.
Yeah.
And I was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, it's not going down like that. I'm going to do another one. And then just never ended up going back to MMA.
Dude, I like had this idea, like, you know, dabbling in jiu-jitsu for the last 2 or 3 years. It's like, I'm not competing in a tournament unless I know I'm going to win the whole thing and I'm a black belt. But like being at that tournament yesterday, it's just kind of like, I want to compete like within the next like year. You know what I mean? Just jump in.
It's fun as hell.
Like,
I mean,
learn regardless of what happens. Just get in there and learn.
I tell a bunch of my students, I'm like, it's not about winning or losing. I was like, what? You just you learn to love it. Like,
yeah.
I don't go out there like the bigger tournaments. I honestly still get under my skin. Like, I get nervous about them, everything like that. Like Worlds, pay-ins, all the IBJJF tournaments, because I put like some expectation on myself. Yeah. The small tournaments, man, that's why I love those ones. Yeah. I was like, it's just fun as hell. I was like, I don't give a shit how it turns out. I get subbed, who cares? I was like, yeah. What does this tournament matter? I was like, this is just fun.
Dude, I watched this dude get thrown in a heel hook, no gi at Simon's tournament. Yeah. And just started rolling. And I was like so scared. I was like thinking to myself of like what you told me to, like, you need to roll technically opposite of the way that you think that it feels that you shouldn't roll. And like my mind just felt like Doctor Strange or like all the fucking universes. And I'm like, is he rolling the right way?
Bro, some people let their knee just fucking pop for like a $3 medal.
He limped the rest of the day. And I was
believe
like,
it, dude.
I mean, yeah, you feel that pressure, but I'm like thinking to myself, like, did he roll the wrong? Because I remember when I tore my meniscus the first time, not completely when I did it over at your place, but like, but the first time, like I was up walking, limping for the rest of the day, but then the next day it was like, I was like, leg just done.
Some of those knee injuries just they take a little bit to set in. Like, it's funny. Speaking of people just like letting shit pop, like jiu-jitsu, you get paid shit anyways. Like even the super fights, all that. Like I've done like 14 or 15 of them. I think the most I've ever gotten paid for one was like $400.
Yeah.
So I was doing one for this organization called Grappling Games, and I went against this guy, and he like started waving his finger in my face during it, and he's in a heel hook, and his shit's popping, and it makes this like Velcro tearing noise. So I know his knee's getting fucked up, and he just doesn't want to tap. I'm like, this match is for like $100, dude. Like, what are you doing?
How many times has somebody let you do that? Like,
too many, dude.
Like, for real? Like, there's been a bunch of times people have just let you snap shit?
Yeah.
What's been the grossest?
Fuck. I mean, most of the knees, honestly.
So
it's the elbows haven't been too bad. I've only popped like one elbow ever. I mean, most people tap the arm bars real quick because like their coaches,
dude,
they teach them, they train them, so they feel it and they're like they know when they're in danger.
I was this close from not tapping in an arm bar, and I felt it for a month,
bro. Yeah, because it hurts like hell.
I didn't know your elbow could hurt. The inside of my elbow hurt for a month.
Yeah, dude. I was like, so like the heel hooks and everything. It's just like it feels like pressure.
Yeah,
and it's like, man, it feels like, and then it feels like once you feel pain from it, it's like, yeah, it's too late, dude. Something's already fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, and you'll hear it. That's the weird part is like, even if it doesn't hurt super bad, like some of them hurt pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but like some of them, it's like there's no pain, no pain, no pain. You feel pressure, and then you feel like a pop, and you're like, okay, like the first pop, whatever. And then it's like this Velcro tearing sound, a second pop. I'm like, at this point, dude, like, you know something's fucked up. Why aren't you tapping?
Fuck.
So like, there's been some like that. I mean, When it's for like a $3 medal, I'm like, this makes no sense. When it's for a super fight, I'm like, okay, it makes a little bit of sense, but it's for $100, dude. Like, is that gonna cover your hospital visit? Like,
Yeah,
it's not.
hell no.
And you're gonna lose. So like, you get paid nothing if you lose.
Yep.
So now you lost. You have a fucked up knee, and you have to go to the hospital. Like,
Hell no.
why not
dude.
just tap?
What's the grossest injury you've seen?
The one I've seen.
Yeah.
It wasn't even anything like major. This guy broke his collarbone, so he went to armbar some guy, and so he was doing man, his name was
Granby roll or something.
No, it was more like crazy MMA shit than that. Even this guy Dan Bear from Michigan, he went to armbar this guy, and the guy's arm gets extended, and he's like a bigger dude, and he lifts him up and just slams him, and he lands right on his shoulder here, and you could see his collarbone break. It didn't break through the skin or anything, but the dude like instantly went into shock, pale white, and then started turning like yellowish. And I'm like, holy shit. Like you could see the separation in his collarbone and everything, and he starts like throwing up everything. I'm like, this guy got fucked up.
The guy that slammed him broke his, or the guy on the bottom broke his?
The guy that was trying to armbar him, he got slammed in an armbar, and that was one of the worst ones I've seen.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah. It was either that or forget who it was.
I saw this fat dude do a judo throw at Simon's the Newbury tournament, and like threw his shoulder out of place.
No, I believe it, dude.
And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? I mean, you two fat dudes. You know what I mean? Like, you clearly don't work out."
There's so many of those big divisions, dude. They throw them, and you just hear those ribs pop.
Dude, I was like, why would you even try to judo throw? He like sloppily grabs onto his gi and starts to turn his hips. I'm like, oh hell, dude, this is gonna be disgusting.
Everybody wants to like do takedowns and talk shit about like pulling guard. I'm like, man, you know how you can avoid so many injuries? Like not like most of the injuries I've seen come from like fucked up takedowns.
Yeah.
Or the fucking. I'm not a big fan of jumping guard either, but jumping guard and they jump at people's knees and you see the knees hyper. Actually, that's probably one of the nastiest I've seen, and that shit happened to me actually. So I fucked up my left knee because I was at like a Sunday open mat like 2000.
So is that where like somebody like tries to like roll into your knee or something?
No. So it's like they jump at you to try and jump to close guard.
Yeah.
And this dude jumped instead of like you're supposed to aim for like their chest.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna drop and you're gonna hit their stomach and lock. This dude like jumped here and like landed on my knee. So like I went to stand up and he jumped, hit the side of my knee, tore my meniscus, LCL, MCL, PCL. Oh my God. What I didn't tear was my ACL.
That's your bad knee then.
Yeah, I mean
they're both bad.
Yeah, I didn't get surgery on it though. I mean, I spent like 9 months in PT for it.
Yeah, that's what you're telling me.
I mean, it doesn't feel bad anymore. I mean, it was also like almost fucking 10 years ago though. So
damn, dude. Then what have you done to that knee?
Dude, this one honestly, it wasn't even a bad injury. I got some bursitis.
Yeah.
And what fucked me up is the doc who drained it.
Was that recently?
Yeah, that was the one.
It like swelled back up. It like.
So that was just a bursitis. Like I had a bad case of bursitis.
What the hell is that?
It's so you have a bursa sac in your knee.
Okay.
And it helps to kind of like lubricate the joint, I guess. So you can get the itis, just meaning inflammation of that bursa.
Okay.
So
from you like using it too much in a weird position?
It could happen from like you hitting the mat on your knee on the mat. It could happen from like it rolling over it and kind of catching awkwardly. Like I guess he was telling me there's a few different ways because I had pre-patellar bursitis.
Yeah.
So I mean it could have been like I was showing a technique and demoing it and like it rolled over my knee and it just inflamed it. Yeah. It's kind of like cauliflower. You're like, okay. Yeah, people hitting you in the ear is for sure gonna make it happen, but you could also kind of awkwardly get it from just sleeping on your pillow and rolling over. Yeah. Right. So, some people are more prone to it and everything, but I should have just let the bursitis go and like just iced it and let it go down on its own. And it has like a recovery of like a month or two, I guess. Yep. But I was like, all right, man, I got to go back to teaching, like just drain it so I can at least like bend my knee again. And this guy like stuck me like 6 times trying to drain it. Oh, and he didn't clean it properly or do anything. So like, I ended up, it's still kind of bruised and everything. Yeah, dude. But like down here, I ended up getting a red spot under it. And I was like, man, I went back in for my checkup. I was like, yeah, you drained it last time. I got this red spot. I was like, it feels kind of like a hard lump. I was like, dude, what's going on? He's like, oh, no, it's nothing to worry about. Gives me a cortisone shot. Turns out this was like the base of an infection. And he gave me a steroid shot right in the infection. And it fucking spread up my thigh within like 24 hours. So I went to the ER because I was like, I think I'm having a blood clot. Like I felt turns out, I thought it was a vein. And like, you can have a blood clot. You'll feel like the vein will almost feel like a cord in your leg.
Yeah.
I thought it was that, but it turns out it was the lymph node tract because the infection was spreading so quick that you can get like another cord-like symptom. The lymph node tract feels like a fucking bungee cord in your thigh.
Yeah.
And my whole knee swelled up worse and was bright red, everything. Bro, the bursitis went down before the infection did. I was on like almost 30 days of antibiotics.
Isn't that how Gordon got his stomach fucked up? Was all the antibiotics?
Yeah. Yeah, that shit can fuck you up, dude. It kept fucking up my stomach. I had to I had to time my antibiotics and everything, and it got to the point where even the infection, I was like, the infection's not gone, and he's like, well, I really can't write you a script for any more antibiotics without like fucking you up. Like, we just kind of gotta hope that it goes away now. And so I took like another month to go away. I was like, fuck, dude.
What the hell?
Yeah, so I was out for like almost, it was like 15 weeks, almost 4 months.
Yeah.
So like, if I would have just waited on the bursitis, it would have been like a month or two.
Yeah.
But me trying to get it drained and the guy doing a shit job draining it, it was like fucking triple my time.
Dude, I would have had to choke him out and sue him for loss of wages.
Bro, it's great. I mean, it'd be hard for me to prove loss of wages because I was still working.
Yeah.
But
in this country, dude, you should have just double dipped. Everybody else does.
Yeah, well, that's the truth.
Fuck it. Let me just double dip on them. So, what was growing up like for you, I guess? I always like to get background stories. What was growing up like? What was school, high school, everything like? Did you like it? I guess that's a dumbass question.
I mean, I fucking hated school.
Yeah, no one liked school.
I mean, everybody in my family was pretty smart, so I was kind of like, even though I wasn't like a dumb kid, I was kind of like the dumber one out of my family.
Yep.
Like my sister ended up being like going to law school, doing all this.
Yeah.
My brother works as a contractor for the Army, doing like radio communications.
Do they do any jiu-jitsu?
No.
Okay.
No. So my brother Sean, so I have like two half siblings.
Yeah.
My sister and my brother.
Yeah.
Aileen and Chris, and then my full brother Sean, he ended up doing IT for the city of Lansing.
Yep.
So they all did like IT stuff, and bro, if something happens with my phone, I can't even fix it. I fucking send him a question.
Yeah.
So it's like when I bought a laptop, I'm like trying to buy a gaming laptop. I'm like sending him specs. I'm like, is this good, dude? I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Like, but I was always into like sports. I played, basketball, track and field.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fucking awful at basketball though.
Yeah.
I was good in middle school when everybody was my height.
I fouled so bad.
Bro, same here.
It was always like,
I was the one they put in when they're like, that dude needs to be fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Go foul him.
Yeah. Facts.
So, other than that, I swam. I mean, it was a small town that I grew up in, like 10,000 people, something like that.
Yep.
Just north of Lansing. So, I mean, it was like 14, get a job.
Yeah.
Worked at KFC, did some landscaping, did some security, did some like bar maintenance, worked as a bar back.
Yep.
All this like random fucking jobs. Kind of like tested out a bunch to see what I wanted to do. Hated fucking everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of my jobs, I did some tree trimming and like line work for a little bit, and it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know the 9 to 5 is not for me. So moved to Grand Valley, was going to school for a little bit, and then dropped out of Grand Valley and decided to do this full time.
Yep.
So it's kind of one of those like weird transitions where my parents were like, well, how are you gonna fucking make a career out of this?
Yeah.
So
and then how long until you opened up your own gym?
Man, 4 years, 5 years after that.
That's not bad at all, dude. Most like overnight success stories are like 10 years to get something like off the ground.
Well, so like 2011 I started going, like the end of that year. So like 2011, 2012 was my first like college year.
Yeah.
Didn't even finish that year, I don't think. I
think
that second semester, like halfway through, I dropped out. Then I did like one semester of online. So I think like 2013, 14, I stopped going to school.
Yep. And
then opened Arctic or Carlson Gracie Grand Rapids was the first one in 2019. So it would have been a transition of 5-6 years.
So you opened that one?
I have a business partner out there as well.
And do you guys still have that one? That was your.
Yeah, I drive up there every Tuesday, and so I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday.
And that's what, a 2-hour or 3-hour drive there?
That's 3 hour, like 3 hour door to door.
Crazy, dude. Reminds me of all the driving I did when I first started.
Bro, I'm not mad at it, man. I mean, I just actually got into like fucking audiobooks and everything because I was sick of listening to the same music
all I did.
and everything.
That's how I was able to read so much my first 2 years. Is like my territory was 2 hours away and 2 hours home. So it was every day for 2 years, 2 hours there, 2 hours back.
Yeah, it's
like,
fucking rough.
A lot of books out. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
the books make time go for
sure
way faster, especially if you could like get into books like something like you're passionate about or you're like really interested in.
And mine right now are bullshit.
Yeah,
it's just some random like sci-fi shit and like all this. And then I had some people recommend me. Actually, they were like, "Oh no, a really good audiobook is." So I'm gonna have to purchase it now. Is the Jocko ones?
Oh yeah.
The what is it? Extreme Ownership.
Yep, Extreme Ownership's good.
And then there was the second one they were talking about too. I can't remember. I was just talking about it today actually.
Yep, he's got 2. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it off the top of my mind either. So you open up your own gym, and then your wife, she does jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet? Was she already doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. So we met through jiu-jitsu.
Okay. Did she beat you?
No. She gives me shit about this one every time. She pretty much says I slid in her DMs after seeing her at a tournament and everything, and like hit her up, and she like ignored me like 5-6 times. Like I'd purposely make trips to Chicago to compete and be like, oh hey, I'm in Chicago, like we should meet up for like some dinner or something.
Yeah.
And blow me off. We actually ended up only going on our first date because one of her teammates at the time blackmailed her.
Yeah.
Like she's like, oh no, I'm so busy. And then I guess the girl she was training with at the time was like, you want me to send him a picture of you right now sitting at the gym on your fucking phone? Like, I'll show him you're not busy. And then she's like, no, don't do that. And she's like, well then go on a fucking date with him. Like,
yeah.
It ended up being like a 7-8 hour first date.
Yeah.
We went downtown to Brazilian Bowl, just walked around shooting the shit. And then, then I started just making a trip out here like every other weekend.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I've been driving for a long time.
and so like, how did that escalate into you guys coaching and teaching together and then opening up your own gym?
Yeah. So, she actually got me a job out here. I was working in Grand Rapids and, so I was working like 3-4 jobs in Grand Rapids.
Yep.
I ran a hydroponics store. I delivered pizzas. I worked at a cryotherapy place, and then I taught jiu-jitsu. So I taught for one of my buddies who owned a school, and he had a huge kids program. It's like an after-school Christian thing, and he's like, well, I want to just start a normal adult program too.
Yeah.
So he hired me to run that one like 2 days a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I loved that, but hated my other jobs. And we were talking at the time, like this was during the time I came out here for our first date and everything.
Yeah.
And then so the jiu-jitsu instructor at the UFC gym in Oak Lawn at the time, he actually trains with us now. Is the funny part is his name's Angelo. Him having twins is the sole reason I'm out here, and everything kind of like happened how it did. So he got the news that he was having twins, and he has a full-time job, and he just does the UFC gym stuff on the side for fun.
Yep. So
he's like, hey, listen, I got to put in my 2 weeks. Like, my wife's having twins. I got to be there for her. I got to help her out. So Danya caught wind of him putting his 2 weeks in, and she called me, and she's like, hey, you need to call right now and tell him that you want an interview.
Yeah.
So this guy, Mike Jabber, called him and talked to him. And so I drove out here for the interview because, like, I called him and he's like, hey, man, we're looking for people in the area. I was like, I'll fucking move out there. I was like, I don't care. I got no fucking ties to Grand Rapids. Like, it's just some shit jobs. Like, I don't care. So he's like, well, if you can be out here tomorrow at like 10 a.m., I'll give you an interview. So I drove out here, got the interview. And then he's like, well, I don't know if I really want to hire you. You don't live out here. I was like, listen, dude, if you can guarantee me the job, I'll go get an apartment right now. I was like, I'll go take my savings. I'll get an apartment right now, and I'll be here next week.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you can promise me that, yeah, dude, you got the job. You can start on the 7th.
Yeah.
So I was like,
now, is that the one that
7th?
I met you at? Or a different
No, that was the Lombard one. So I started at the Oak Lawn one, and I built up a program there of like 20, 30 people.
Yep.
And then they had some change of instructors at Lombard, and like the one guy who was there left to open his own school, whole thing. And so then they were looking in the company, and they're like, oh, well, hey, Alex and Donnie, do you guys want to like come run a program at Lombard as well? And that's when the guys who currently own Lombard had just bought it.
Yeah.
So we did some talking with them. We told them, like, listen, dude, we're not really trying to drive from Palos Hills to Lombard, go through like 2-3 tolls, spend a half hour driving, a half hour back. Like, bro, we're going to spend like $20 going there and back in gas and tolls.
Yeah.
I was like, $40 a class doesn't really make it worth it then.
Yeah.
So I was like, you need to pay for our travel. You need to give us like, $500 a month each for like our travel.
Yeah.
So we worked out a deal with him. Then I was working at both. And then when they moved from that Lombard gym on the corner of It was right down here actually. Right where Jab Gym was.
Okay.
So Jab Gym.
Yep.
Was Mike Jabber's gym that he opened after he left the UFC gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he used to run the Lombard UFC gym.
Okay.
Then when the Famis bought it, they opened up Yorktown.
Okay.
So then they moved it from that Roosevelt and Main corner.
Yeah.
To the Yorktown Mall.
Okay.
And that's where I met you at, was the UFC gym in the Yorktown Mall.
Dope. And then you guys were able to open up the Arctic Training Center. And then where's that at again now?
Palos Heights. So out in the corner of College and Harlem in Palos Heights.
Yep. And then are you guys officially 2 years in, or is it almost
No, March will make 1 year for that gym. We're coming up on 3 years for Carlson Gracie Grand Rapids. And then 1 year for Arctic.
And what's the success ratio of like opening up like a jiu-jitsu gym? Because I feel like a lot of cats probably go out there and like, well, you know what I mean?
I have to imagine a lot try.
They probably like, you're like, oh.
I mean, honestly, dude, I don't even know, because I see a bunch of them open up, and I don't follow up with.
That's how business is.
After having two, man, I don't
There's
have
like
time
no
to
time to
follow up on all
up.
these people.
And if you don't hear anything, you just like hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly,
but,
dude. I mean, it's already a shitty enough like paying sport that I'm like, I hope your gym takes off, man. Like,
yeah,
I got my own shit to worry about. Like,
yeah,
2 gyms. Like in the past year, Donnie and I opened Arctic, bought a house, quit the UFC gym.
Yeah,
like, man,
a shit ton of shit.
Yeah, dude, it's
a lot of shit.
I haven't had time. I have like 2-3 people that open gyms that I follow up with because we were good friends beforehand.
Yep. How big are you guys out now, like at the Arctic Training Center?
Man, the wife's a lot better at this than I am. I think it's like about 100 members for jiu-jitsu, I think, coming up on that. So,
dude,
I mean,
that's solid.
Yeah, it took off fairly fast. When we brought in Rudy and Angelo, that helped out. That was like 20 people. We brought some of our members from the UFC gym in Yorktown.
Yeah.
They decided to follow us as well.
Yeah, I seen that.
So, I mean, the first month we were having like 15, 20 people classes. We had to expand our mat space because we were having like 30, 40 people classes, and we only had like 900 square feet.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, fuck, we got to buy some more. So we're already looking at bigger spaces and everything because we're already outgrowing the spot.
Back to Lombard.
Oh, fuck no. Shit's so expensive out here.
Oh,
man.
my God.
And out where we're at right now, there's maybe one school around us, right?
Oh, that's
out
nice.
Here, I mean.
There's a school everywhere.
Yeah, there's a few out here.
Yeah.
I mean, decent ones that just opened are, there's one right on, it's right next to where Jab Gym is. It's on the corner of Roosevelt and Main, but the other side of the road.
Yeah.
All Star. They just opened up. That's some Redzovic guys. What's his name? Man, fucking blanking on his name right now. But I think it's 2 brown belts that opened up that school. And then I think it's Michael Santiago opened up a school out here as well.
So what do you think's the best school out here next to your school?
Like in the Chicagoland area or out in Lombard?
No,
I mean,
not Lombard. Chicago.
Chicago, man.
The gym you got your black
like
belt from?
Size, competitors, or like how you gauging that?
Like competitors, jiu-jitsu, skill.
Man, if we're going just skill, Jeff Seraphin's has some really good competitors. They don't have a whole crazy bunch of adult competitors, but the few they have are just fucking monsters.
Where is it?
That's up in like Evanston, Skokie.
I have no idea where that's at. Is that like down in the city or is that up north?
Nah, it's if you're downtown and you head straight north, you're gonna run through Evanston, Skokie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's dope.
But no, they got a really solid gym and program.
What's now? Are they like a Gracie? Like,
I mean, most of the schools out in Chicago are a Gracie of some form or the other. So like their lineage would be like Jeff Seraphin. Then it goes to Jack McVicker, who goes to Megaton Diaz, who goes to Gracie Humaida. So it's like Megaton and then Hickson.
When you open up a gym, because I see so many Carlson Gracie Juniors and Gracie Barras, and it's like every gym. It's like,
there's a bunch of Gracies,
how are they all? Is it just franchised, and every time you open a Gracie, like, how do you get permission to like call your jiu-jitsu gym a Gracie gym? Because I feel like it's deceiving. I feel like every gym is like half of the jiu-jitsu gyms. I mean, there's
a lot of Gracies. So I mean, and there's a lot of different teams that are Gracie lineage too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier to find a team that isn't, or it's harder to find a team that isn't Gracie lineage than it is to find one that is.
Yeah.
Right. So most teams, if you're like, oh hey, Gracie lineage, and it's like, well, yeah. For the most part, yeah. I think the only one that's not is like GFT.
Yeah.
But so for as far as like getting permission to like call my school a Carlson Gracie gym, I have to talk to Junior, and then I essentially sign a contract saying like, hey, I'm gonna follow these rules of the team. I'm gonna do this and
like these gis, this hidden.
Oh, we don't even have so that's part of why I like Junior a lot.
Yeah.
Junior's very much he's gonna stay the fuck out of my business.
Yeah, I was gonna go to Gracie. When I first got here, I was gonna go to Gracie Bar, and they were like, you have to wear this gi, and you have to always call me master, and you have to, and it's $800,000 a month, and I was like, no fucking way anybody's paying that, dude. I was like, I know our business does decent, and I'm considering that, and I know, like, you know what I mean. Most, I'm like, that's bro. No way people are.
I always make a joke about Gracie, and not all of them are like this. So
I have no idea.
Some of them are very laid back schools, and there's some good Gracie Baja schools for sure. But like, there's some strict ones that we call like McDojos. Our gi, our flip flops, our belt, our rash guards, our shorts. I'm like, they're just short of telling you to fucking wear their underwear, dude. Like, what the fuck, like. And even the whole like master and professor thing, like, dude, that gets me. Sometimes.
When I was like going to hang up, and they were like, "It's master before you leave," and I was like, okay, fuck you."
Yeah, like I got you, sir.
Yeah,
like, that's even like, so like, technically, like professor is like a black belt.
Yeah,
a black belt who teaches.
Yeah,
right. And usually it's like the head instructor of the school type of thing. Even at the schools I teach at, I've told people, like, when I got my black belt, they're like, "Oh, it's Professor Seaver." I was like, don't start that shit.
Yeah.
I was like, if anything, call me coach.
Dude.
I was like, it's disrespectful to the people who are actual fucking professors. I was like, I teach a martial art.
That's what I tell
these
guys.
There's college
here.
professors, man. Like, they have degrees and doctorates and all this shit. Like, they work their fucking ass off. They wrote papers. I was like, I just know how to choke people, dude.
Yes.
Don't call me professor. Fucking coach at best. I teach a sport.
Yeah, dude. That's what I tell these cats here. Like, when they come to work here, I'm like, you're not gonna call me boss.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking weird. You know what I mean? I'm like, we're just all humans. We're just all trying to eat. We're just all trying to make money. You're just trying to have a good time.
I'll settle for sir. Like, if people want to say anything, I'm
if
like,
you want to. But
I'm like, sir's respectful.
I'm going to say it back to you, too.
I was like, that's why I call people sir if I don't know them. Like, I'm like, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no. I was like, that's just how I was raised. But,
same.
like, past that, like, if someone's like, no, you need to call me professor, I'm like, yeah, you're on some cult-like shit, dude.
Yeah, you're nuts.
Like, nah, I'm good.
So... Now, the gym you got your black belt from, Carlson Gracie Jr.
Yep.
Now, you're saying Carlson Gracie Jr. is actually, like, lives and physically is at that gym?
Yeah, so I got my black belt at Arctic, like, during a seminar. So we brought Junior out for a seminar. And because I teach so much, that's usually what happens.
So you got it at your own gym, technically?
Yep. And from him.
Okay,
yeah, so I've been under Junior, like, training-wise, since I moved out here.
Like, when you're adding to your skill set, that's where you go. You like
it was
okay.
And the only distinction, it's not like, oh, the gym's not good or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm too fucking busy to drive downtown.
Okay. So now when you go to
I teach at 10 a.m. every day, and I teach a night class, so I can't make any classes at HQ.
When you go to improve your skill set, how do you, like, is it video? Do you call in someone
that's like this weekend? That's why I did this weekend, like how I did. Like, I'm like, oh, I'll run a seminar on Saturday. I'll go out to Wisconsin, get 2 hours of training, and then I'll do a seminar on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I'll have students record it. We'll drill it. We'll go through it, and then I'll pick like a few students that, like, I know can push me from certain positions, and we'll go from that.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard as an instructor, man. I was trying to pick a few instructors' brains about how they do it, because I mean, there's a few people I know that do it successfully, like Daniel Vonderlei still competes. All this, he's up in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Jeff Serafin does it still. You see, Mark Vives up at New Breed still does it too. And I was like, man, how do you guys balance this? Like, how do you get your own training in plus teach all the time? And like, I mean, you don't really. You got to pick and choose which ones you're going to compete at, because you have to be selfish with your time.
Yep.
So when it comes time to you compete, you're not worrying about your students. You're going to pay someone else to teach a class, and you're going to do your own training.
Yeah.
I was like,
that makes sense.
I can't quite afford that yet. Like, the schools are doing well, but I'm still in that, like, grind and hustle phase.
Yeah, you have to be. But I can see where, like, long term that'll be good for marketing, because if you short term you lose a couple bucks, pay somebody, you cut into your profit margin, but you go out, develop your skill even more, go out, win something, and then you just sell it back for, hey, look, I just won this, buy this instructional. I'm on this Jiu Jitsu group on Facebook, and it seems like every motherfucker has an instructional, And I'm just
Are
like,
you in BJJ Fanatics?
yeah, something like that probably.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I joined it.
Well, they changed their. It used to be that you had to be like invited to do an instructional, like you had to win tournaments and then they do an instructional on the winner. Now it doesn't matter who. So when someone's like, oh, I'm on BJJ Fanatics, I got an instructional. I'm like, oh, did they invite you or did you just like? Otherwise, you send them a curriculum and like your plan for an instructional, and essentially it's like a business contract.
Yeah.
They tell you like, yeah, we'll film it. We have all the production stuff. You have the information. We'll take 50% of whatever it is that you sell, but we'll produce it for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, it's great. Like BJJ Fanatics is doing great things for the community. It's funneling more money into the community and everything, but you also get people who shouldn't really be doing instructionals.
Dude, it's insane.
I mean, some of them you find some sleepers, man. There's some good people who you wouldn't know about because they don't win anything, but they're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's insane to me. It's all insane. It's such a in-depth world that literally can never be mastered.
Yeah, I mean, what? And monetizing jiu-jitsu is its own hassle.
Another world.
And I think Bernardo Faria capitalized on that the best. He's the one who, him and I forget who his business partners are, but they're the ones who like came up with BJJ Fanatics.
Yeah.
They're probably raking in money.
Yeah, dude, they get 50% off everything.
Yeah, that's what. So that rephrase that. That's what I heard. It was that was the deal. Christ. I'm sure with people like Gordon and everything, it's different, but
yeah, I mean, fucking Christ, that's insane. So, what's the future vision, for you, for the gym life? What's that look like? What's that all entail?
Man, I mean, honestly, God, I just keep doing what I'm doing. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm fucking retired and I'm coming up on 29.
Yeah,
Like I'm just here to spend my weekends doing this shit, like doing what I love. Like,
yep.
Life ain't bad.
Yeah, no,
So,
not at all.
I mean, we're looking at a new space for Arctic. I just want to grow the gyms.
Yeah.
Right. So like Carlson Gracie, Grand Rapids, we're looking at like bringing in some other instructors to teach on the days I'm not there, so that way I can give my business partner some relief.
Yep.
Focus on growing the student base out at Arctic. I mean, I just got my black belt, so now it's a shift in my own focus as well, regardless of the schools. I'm like, okay, well now I want to compete. I want to try and get my name out there for black belt.
Yeah.
And see, I mean, I know I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, let me go compete and just fucking mop the floor with everybody. I know it's going to be a fucking rough start, but
yeah,
I kind of want to get that match out there and see where I stand.
Yeah.
Right. Past that, I haven't been planning long term for it because I'm like, all my long term goals were met this year pretty much. Like, buy a house, do this.
Yeah, dude.
Next best thing is buy the wife a new car, buy a bigger house. I mean, some shit that, like, not immediate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, she wants, she's been eyeing those, the Jeep Gladiators.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, give it a year. I was like, we'll buy you a Jeep Gladiator. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that'll be
give
dope.
me a year, some growth, and we'll just.
Yes. That'll be dope.
Yeah.
Now, belts, rich people, fighters. These cats be buying, these fighters be buying these belts, or are they just like, people be giving them belts or something?
For sure. I mean, I've watched it happen where
Adesanya, like, just fucking, like, I don't know, where, like, here's your purple belt.
Bro, he's a sleeper because he's really good. But,
for real?
Yeah.
I'm over here shit talking. You kick the shit out of him. Straight foot to the face.
There's a video of him grappling at Atos with Andre Galvao and a few of the other people, and like, it makes it look like he's doing like fucking garbage, but the people he's grappling with are fucking insanely good. It's not even he's a bad grappler. It's like you're taking a guy who is a good grappler, and he's grappling against like world class people.
Yeah.
So it makes him look bad. It's like, nah, he's fucking killing it. They're all. When you get people like Israel Adesanya and all those guys who come into a gym and it's a big name, there's a reason why they like feel like people like pay for their belts and all that shit. Because he doesn't want to go into the gym and train with everybody because everybody's going to go for his fucking head.
Yeah.
And it's like if he gets injured training, he loses out on, I mean, however the fuck he makes, however much that is per fight.
Yeah. Fucking insane.
So it's like it's not worth it for him. He'd rather just pay for personals and shit like that.
Yep.
So I think he did most of his stuff with like, I think it was Lucas Barbosa, Andre, and then like Josh Hinger, I think.
Yeah.
A few of the guys from Atos who are like world-class black belts.
Yep.
But there's some MMA fighters I've seen where it's like they win an awful fucking submission victory over a guy they like almost knocked out.
Yeah.
And then they're giving him another belt. I'm like, it doesn't mean shit, dude. Like, like it's easier to submit. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you can use even Rodolfo Vieira's match in the UFC earlier this year.
Yeah.
He's a fucking top-notch black belt. He was a fucking world-class grappler. He got submitted by some, like, not really a nobody. I'm sure he's a bigger name than I can give him credit for, but essentially a nobody to me, and he gets submitted with an arm and guillotine. And it's because the dude almost, like, knocked him the fuck out standing first, and then Rodolfo shoots in, and because he's almost unconscious, takes a shitty shot and gets submitted.
So when you shoot in to not get submitted by a guillotine, do you put your head in the stomach and not on the side, right?
It's going to depend on how you're finishing the shot.
Say you're just going for a double leg takedown.
Well, so you're always going to circle usually away from your head. So if you're putting your head in front of their stomach, you're going to circle like behind them, and that's where you see like people circle towards like the back, and you see more like duck under type of stuff and throw bys.
Yep.
If your head goes to the outside, that's typically where you see people like hit like knee taps, and then you'll see them like jump over as they're taking them down.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm no wrestling expert by any means, but there's a bunch of different ways. The biggest concept would be getting your hips on the opposite side of your head.
Yeah.
So like if your head's in there, like if I'm shooting and I put my head on your right or your left side, my hips need to go to the opposite side as I'm finishing the takedown. If I were to drive my hips to the same side as your head, it's going to feel like I hit the takedown, but realistically it's probably going to be you giving up the takedown to attack the guillotine.
That makes sense.
So I mean, like, anybody can get submitted, man. That's the craziest part. Like, it's not some magical superpower that like prevents you from being submitted. Like, shit happens, but obviously it gives you an edge. But
yeah,
I've watched some guys like submit nobodies or like half unconscious people, and then their coach is like, "Oh my god, that was a beautiful display of jiu-jitsu. Here you go." And this is actually a good example of this because he's not even a trash grappler, but this submission meant nothing. I don't think. You can watch the Ben Henderson and Anthony Pettis fight.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting armbarred and gets his black belt. And it's like
Pettis?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
It's like he damn near like knocked him out first and then armbars him.
Yeah.
And it's not that Pettis is a slouch grappler, but I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I don't want that fucking heat. Pettis is one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah.
But it's more like he may very well have been a black belt, but that submission didn't prove it.
Didn't somebody break in his house and beat his ass?
Yeah, I think he got jumped. There's some weird shit going on with him up in Milwaukee, I guess. Like, someone blew up a car in his fucking driveway or something. Like, people were making some rumors about what happened. I have no fucking clue. That shit was crazy, dude.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, somebody...
So I believe it, because I heard something like that, too. I don't know if it was true or not.
Yeah.
I heard about a car blowing up in his driveway. I'm like, that's fucking wild.
Fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah.
What's your... I feel like I'm a little familiar with it. It's been a little bit, but, like, your go-to, your favorite game in jiu-jitsu. Like, what do you like to...
The fast and dirty. I like people to shoot in on a single leg so I can go for a scissor takedown and heel hook them.
Yeah.
I'm very much like, you know what? Are you paying me? Let me get in and get out. Like,
yeah.
How do I make that amount of time? Like, how do I make the most out of my money per minute?
Yes.
Like, I don't want to sit here and grapple you for fucking 10 minutes.
So you're a leg wizard.
I want to finish the fight however I can in like fucking 5 seconds.
Yes.
Like, that's go straight to the fucking point.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's fucked me over. Don't get me wrong. But I live and die by the sword on that one. Like, there's been some matches where like I beat some, like back when I was a pro belt, I beat some black belts I had no business beating. Like if it turned into a technical grappling match and it was drawn out, like you would have beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But if I just go straight for the submission, they're not always expecting it.
Yeah.
And get a quick win.
Yeah.
It's like the flying triangle, scissor takedowns, flying arm, all that crazy shit.
Especially as people get more skilled or like jiu-jitsu education, they just
exactly
like over calculate.
They do.
You know what I mean? And then it really does become that drawn out. Now you got it's understandable, but like points and advantages.
Well, and if you want to grow the sport, like I mean, it needs to be spectator friendly, and nobody's gonna give a shit about some dude sitting in closed guard for 5 minutes. It could be technical as shit and some grip battle and all this, but that's boring as fuck to watch. And I love the sport. Like, I can only imagine for someone who doesn't know what's happening, and they're like, "The fuck's going on here, dude?" Like,
yeah, dude.
Why doesn't he just stand up? And you're like, well, it's not that simple, but
yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, I think that's part of what kills the sport on the spectator side, and that's why I like the ADCC rules where it pushes like a submission, all that. Like IBJJF, as long as you're attacking a submission or you're like trying to progress, like you could almost stall someone out.
Yeah. So ADCC, what like?
So they have a lot more aggressive stalling penalties.
Okay.
I mean, there's some refs for IBJJF who will be super aggressive on it, but in general, IBJJF is more of like people will call it like an IBJJF game where you play points and you stall someone out and you're kind of like, oh, you're better than me, so I'm just gonna like try and like, you know, play a cheesy game where like I come up on points and then like I back away so you stand up, I pull guard and I lock you in my guard and then we just sit there for fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you win? I mean, yeah, but not really. So I mean, it works. It wins people world titles, all this, but it's not exactly the most entertaining to watch. So that's why I like people I like watching like Nicky Rod's matches, and even though I don't always like their social media shit or all that, like
yeah,
I mean it's funny as hell, but it's not always the most respectful. But they fucking make the sport exciting.
Yeah,
right. Like they draw people who don't do jiu-jitsu to watch jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
and that's Andre Galvao never really did that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he was really fucking good. Marcelo Garcia never really did that.
Yep.
Like it's a whole different look into the sport.
Facts.
So, I mean, it makes it more wide streaming when it does that. That's how you're gonna get sponsorship money in the sport.
Yeah.
Because if you're just appealing to people in the sport, you're dealing with a small community, and then it's a small crowd. Nobody gives a fuck about that.
Facts, bro.
Like, there's no advertising potential there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're a little over an hour, so as we wrap up, this was fire, by the way. Anything else on your mind?
Nah, man. I mean,
where can people find you?
We're out in Palos Heights, Arctic Training Center, Palos Heights, 7214 West College Drive.
Social media,
Seaver BJJ on Instagram, Alex Seaver on Facebook. Pretty much everything Seaver BJJ for me. Yeah. So if you're struggling to find me, Seaver BJJ.
Can people virtually learn? Like, do you have any instructionals or anything?
I don't have any instructionals. I'm not going to talk shit about instructionals. It's not always the best. When people are just starting, it's hard to learn from instructionals.
Yeah, I bought one like while my knee was fucked up, and I was like watching it. And I was like,
I mean,
I need someone to like physically.
Oh, 100%.
I need to pause this every 60 seconds and go through, and I'm like,
exactly.
Why did I just spend $300 on this?
Instructionals are great, man. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I always try and send people material that, like, if they're asking me questions, I'll be like, oh, hey, here's this video for reference. That stuff helps out a lot. And then if people always have questions, I can always send clips to them and like record stuff for them. Or if you find yourself out in Grand Rapids for some reason, stopping at that school as well.
Yep.
I know it's gonna be mostly people in the Chicago area.
Yeah, but no. Well, we have a really diversified group of listeners for some weird reason, because a lot of my listeners are internal, but our company is nationwide. So you probably have a few people from each state that'll tune in. It's kind of weird, and like different countries too. So definitely shoot out the Grand Rapids. Where's that?
Carlson Gracie Grand Rapids. It's on 28th Street, south side of Grand Rapids.
And they can find that link too through Seaver BJJ, or they could
if
DM
you find me on Instagram or Facebook. I have both businesses tagged on my personal page.
Please, guys, go subscribe and do jiu-jitsu there. I get 50% of all earnings if you subscribe.
Like,
please. Dope. All right. Well, this was fun. Can't wait to get you back on, and maybe hopefully in a year when I'm a black belt with 4 red stripes. Fucking legit over here.
For sure. That's a $50,000 belt.
Yeah. I was asking that question just to see if I was priming them, seeing like, hey, if like money can get me a belt. But dope, dude. But seriously, I'm excited. I want to do this yearly and watch myself progress with how many meniscus tears I can fucking get. So
for sure.
All right, guys. Peace.